Today's session is the 8th webinar in our Diversity and Cybersecurity series. Diversity and inclusion remain our core aspects of cultural transformation that help us fulfill our mission to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Our guest today is Liana Tomescu. Liana is a Cybersecurity Program Manager at Microsoft on the Defender for Cloud team and has previously worked as part of the Azure Global Crisis team and on the Office products. Liana is currently the Connecting Women in Technology, CWIT for short, early careers co-lead, and has founded several CWIT programs such as the University Tech Starter, the CWIT Book Club, and the CWIT Fireside Chat. Now, before we get started, I wanted to let everyone know that in addition to today's diversity webinar, Liana will be presenting in 2 more Microsoft Security Community webinars this month focused on cloud cybersecurity using Microsoft Defender for Cloud, databases, DNS, and Azure Resource Manager. Those are on June 21st and June 30th. You can register for both of those webinars at aka.ms/securitycommunity. Okay, let's get started. So hi, Liana. Thank you for joining us today and for giving us time out of your busy schedule. So I'm just going to get started here. First, tell us where in the world you are and tell us about yourself and how you got started working at Microsoft.
Great. Thank you so much, Ashley. It's really great to be here. It's great to see everyone here and such a huge number of attendees. So thank you so much for being here. So I basically I'm calling in from Dublin in Ireland. And originally I'm from Romania, but I moved to Ireland 21 years ago when I was just a child. So I basically have been living here since. I'm in Microsoft Ireland. So yeah, I guess a little bit about background about myself, and I do actually have some slides. As you can see, I just wanted to talk about my own experience of how I got to be where I am today. So I'm going to start off with school. So high school, which is called secondary school in Ireland, actually lasts for 6 years in Ireland, 5 or 6 years. And basically throughout my school experience, I was very, very interested in maths and all of the logical subjects. So that coupled with the fact that my dad is actually a software engineer, when I was looking into what should I study at university, I decided to go for computer science and business at Trinity College Dublin because I thought it was the future. So I started at Trinity in 2016, and I had several internships throughout my college time. I basically had an internship in between every single one of in all the summers in between the academic years. So my first internship was in the same company that my dad actually works for, and it was it has since been bought over by a company called Thoma Bravo, and it was a software engineering summer internship based in Java after my first year. Then my second internship. So it started because during actual college, so doing the projects, we got to do projects with external companies as well. And Microsoft was one of the companies that got involved with Trinity with our year. And I participated with them on this project. And then I was able to get an internship, another summer internship out of it at the end. And I worked as a software engineering intern in the localization group. So then the summer after my third year, I was a summer analyst in technical consulting at Ernst & Young. And had a great time. We went kayaking once, you can see that in the photo. And then in my, I guess also just throughout my entire college experience, I got very involved with extracurricular activities. And you'll notice this pattern as I will talk about connecting women in technology as well. But even throughout university, I got very involved with these extracurricular activities. And in particular, in my final year, I actually led one of the business student societies societies called the Trinity Entrepreneurial Society, and we helped students basically to help them get their small businesses or startups up and running. And yeah, and then afterwards, after all that, I graduated in 2016. And that's really where my Microsoft journey actually begins, full time. So I got headhunted to Microsoft in 2016 for a program manager role in the application compatibility team, which focused on VBAs, macros, and Office add-ins, and making sure that they continue to work across all new updates and versions of Office. So I did that for a year. And then afterwards, I basically joined Azure. So in Azure, I focused on customer communications as part of anytime there were any outages in Azure, anywhere in the world, if there was anything going on, for example, any outages in virtual machines or in app service or anything, it was myself and my team who would send the messages like on the Azure status page to let customers know. And alongside that, we also worked with customers to improve their resiliency to make sure that they weren't impacted by these kind of outages. So I did that for almost 4 years. And then afterwards, I switched over fully into cybersecurity, where I now work for Microsoft Defender for Cloud as a program manager. And what I do on this role is I actually partner with customers to help them to deploy Defender for Cloud and answer any of their questions. I gather their feedback. So I basically have to help and teach customers how to use Defender for Cloud, but it also means that through the questions that the customers ask me, I am able to also get a lot of learnings myself. So I can, I'm always learning. I'm always finding out about what is new in the cybersecurity industry, what's new, what's needed. So then I can bring that feedback back into our engineering team as well. And then alongside working with customers for that, I also make sure that I create understanding of what Defender for Cloud is and how to deploy it in different manners. So I would create content like blogs or videos or webinars, the webinars that Ashley called out that will be happening next week and the week after. So I make sure that customers know about the benefits of Defender for Cloud and how to deploy it. So that's a little bit about myself and how I got to where I am now. And yeah, I'm having a great time on the team. I really, really love it. So yeah, that's my background.
So it sounds like you've always been interested in working in tech and knew that you were passionate about helping people through your student societies in college. So I know that there are many different types of jobs available in tech, and I'm just learning about them all after, just being in this industry for a year. How did you know that your current role as a program manager in cybersecurity was going to be a good fit for you? And how did you decide to change your job from being kind of operational focused to actually being more technical and working on the product?
Yeah, so I would say for this, I would say that I didn't start out knowing that I was going to be interested in cybersecurity. Actually, when I graduated, I didn't know anything about cybersecurity. It wasn't a big focus when I did my degree. The area of cybersecurity seems crazy now, but at the time, it wasn't something that I knew anything about. So the only way that I was able to find out about it is from basically through my own experience of working in the Azure team. And all of this kind of came about, especially during COVID. So during the COVID pandemic, when everyone was stuck at home, we had nowhere to go. We were all working from home. So I had more time to reflect and really think about what it is that I was interested in, what it is that I wanted to do next, what contribution can I make to the world? And that's when I started to realize that in my role in Azure, that I realized my love for cybersecurity. Because in my previous role, as well as sending out communication messages for whenever there were outages in Azure, I also got involved in sending out communication messages for any vulnerabilities in Azure as well. So we had to disclose any vulnerabilities that may have affected customers in Azure. And I realized from that experience that I was very interested in wanting to learn about this whole area and wanting to find out, well, how do these vulnerabilities happen? How can we stop them from happening? And more importantly, how can we stop cyber attacks from happening? And I wanted to be part of the solution earlier on in the process. So it was kind of realizing from that experience that I was interested in cybersecurity, but also your other question there was, how was I interested in working for a product? And again, this was all from trying things out. So again, in my last team, as well as sending the messages to customers, I also particularly got involved in the actual communications tools, the communication product in this process. So specifically, I was involved with the Azure status page. So again, that's the place where if anything breaks in Azure, that's a kind of a major outage. The Azure status place is the go-to place to find out what's going on. So for that, I got involved in trying to improve that process so that we were able to get the clearest message possible out to customers. So I got feedback from customers, but also feedback from our team about how we can make that page and process smoother and easier for everyone to understand and use. So I was able to take that experience and bring it back to the engineer, bring back that feedback back to the engineering team. But I was able to take that experience as well and realize, okay, I was very interested in working in a product. So now I knew two things: cybersecurity and product. And I already knew that I was interested in technology, so that I already knew that. But then what happened is, through my reflection, I realized, okay, as a next step, I want product cybersecurity. So I started to look around in 2021 for roles that match this. And I found out about a job opening in the Azure Security Center team, which I actually already knew a little bit about that product. And I was able to interview for that and share my experience of what I had done in my last team, and share my enthusiasm and passion for the industry, but also for learning as much as possible about the product. I was able to do that in the interviews. So then I got the job, and yeah, I have no regret. Now I just, I'm loving being on this team. There's always something new to learn, always very much at the cutting edge of the industry. So yeah, I'm very happy with my decision with the situation.
Yeah, that's great. I think, a lot of people are out there searching for their dream jobs and asking yourself questions like, what am I good at? What do I love doing? And just what do I want to be talking about every day are some really good places to start. So it sounds like you've made a few changes in your career path. Did you have any mentors to guide you through this process?
Okay, mentors. So I wouldn't say that I've had any official mentors per se. However, I have had a lot of different people that have unofficially given me a lot of advice and guided me throughout my career. Specifically, someone I'm going to talk about now is my current manager, who is Yuri Diogenes. So some of you may know him. I have jokingly referred to him as the Stephen King of cybersecurity, because he has written so many books about cybersecurity, about Defender for Cloud, the product that we work on. And yeah, he's just released so much content like out on YouTube. He's got a Defender for Cloud in the Field YouTube series. And yeah, he does a lot of stuff. So he is somebody that not only is he very, a go-getter with his own career and what he does, but also he's very, very encouraging for myself, for his team. So I think I can speak for everyone on the team when I say that we all feel very supported, myself included. And we're always Yuri's always helping to challenge us so that we're also always moving forward, with always progressing in some way. But because we're also supported, it's very much like he has found the sweet spot for how to be both supportive and also challenging us. So Yuri is somebody that I've basically learned a lot from. So he's somebody that I would consider probably the closest person to my mentor at the moment. And then I guess somebody else that I can call out is, so in connecting women in technology, there was previously somebody else in Microsoft who was part of it, Emer Michaels. And again, she wasn't an official member. She was somebody that I talked to about how to improve connecting women in technology, and also how general things for my own career, kind of soft skills for my own career as well. So she was somebody that, again, not an official mentor. She was somebody that I admired. She was kind of a role model for me. So yeah, she's somebody I'd also like to call out as well here.
Okay, so yeah, I would agree that having a supportive and challenging boss is super, super important, especially early on in your career, to kind of like guide you through those beginning years. So it sounds like you found mentors both inside of your job at Microsoft and outside of your job through CWIT. So I don't think everyone listening actually knows what CWIT is. So can you tell us just about CWIT and how you learned about CWIT and then how you got involved?
Yeah, definitely. So I have a slide for this one too. Great. Okay, so CWIT stands for Connecting Women in Technology. It is an employee group. It's not for profit. Everyone who gets involved in CWIT, we're all volunteers. And it was founded in 2010 by 5 companies, Microsoft included, 5 technology companies, who all came together and formed this alliance. And it was all for the purpose of our mission of attracting, retaining, and promoting women in the tech sector. So mostly everything is in Ireland as well. So we do have chapters in the UK and Dubai, but mostly everything is in Ireland. And the reason why the reason why this was brought about is, well, because we know that there's a gender disparity in tech roles and in tech companies. There's fewer women in general in technology. It's commonly known. This is slowly changing. And it's definitely becoming more equal, and organizations like CWIT do definitely help with this in several ways. So CWIT provides networking opportunities to both ladies who are already working in the technology sector, but also CWIT helps to bring in additional female talent into this tech sector. So for example, through our high school programs and also our university programs as well. So that's kind of a little bit about what CWIT is. I think that the question was also like, how did I myself get involved with CWIT? So I basically started volunteering in CWIT back in 2018 when I was looking to help out in the community in a way that wasn't just necessarily my day-to-day job. So got involved in the early careers pillar as a volunteer, and then a year later I started leading the early careers pillar, one of the 3 pillars in connecting women in technology. And then in this pillar, and I was really lucky that it wasn't just myself. I was the co-pillar lead. I'm currently still doing this now with Joanna Ganillo, who's from HPE, and she's brilliant. And we have a really great partnership. And basically, basically, since that time, every year we've actually started something new. So in that same year that I started, later on, we basically started the University Tech Starter program. And the University Tech Starter program is where we get to do the outreach to our university students and basically try to promote the attract especially the female students to join a career in technology, to join the tech sector. And we do this through several ways, like we have webinars, we had in-person panel discussions as well, and of course also like practical workshops so that we can give the students the practical skills like CV and LinkedIn workshops. So that's the University Tech Starter. And then also, we also started the book club. And the book club is, again, it's something that is all for promoting female authors and having discussions about things like feminism, and it's all about books like Becoming by Michelle Obama and Melinda Gates and so on. So it's very kind of small, tight-knit community, but the discussions are always fascinating, and I always come out of those discussion meetings from the book club very engaged and very buzzing. And then we also have the Fireside Chat, which we started last year. And the Fireside Chat is a networking opportunity so that we are able to showcase one individual at each Fireside Chat, which usually happens on a monthly basis. And they're able to talk about their own career, how they got to where they are, any learnings that they had, so that we can learn about them, but also we can, learn about just learnings that they've had, so that we can bring that into our own careers and into our own lives as well. So it's a really great program for getting to know one another. And then what we have coming up as well is later in 2022, we've actually got a new program, and it is it's for the purpose of bringing in technology-focused aspects into connecting women in technology. So we're going to have an Intro to Cloud Cybersecurity program, which is going to be coming out later. You can actually sign up for the newsletter as well. So it's just a form that you sign up, and I'll be sending out regular kind of email updates about where it's at, how we're doing with when it's going to launch and things like that. So yeah, that'll be coming, and then in future as well, we're going to have other technology focuses. So we started with cloud cybersecurity because that's my area of expertise. But yeah, in future it's going to be other things as well. So that's a little bit about my CWIT journey, and a little bit about some of the events that have occurred so far. But now I want to, I have a small video that I can quickly show you. It's 2 minutes long, so it's very quick, and I hope the sound works. Do let me know if you can't hear it.
Awesome. Cool video. So wow, you are so busy. So you've started 3 programs at CWIT, the University Tech Starter, the CWIT Book Club, and the CWIT Fireside Chat. Which of these 3 programs like stands out to you the most? Which one's your favorite?
Yeah, so I guess the one that is closest to my heart is the University Tech Starter program. So yeah, so basically, for this one, the reason is we have received just so much great feedback from the students who have attended these events. So we started it back in 2019. And for the first academic year, because 2019 to 2020, we were able to have them in person. So we literally went in to the universities and we had panel discussions that we had at the time, and we were able to showcase kind of different people that were working in technology and basically, you know, showcase female role models, I guess, in technology to all of our student attendees. And all of this is for the purpose of trying to increase the number of girls specifically who go on to work in the tech sector afterwards. So it's helping to reduce the female dropout rate in STEM, and it's really helping to give the students, so some of the students might be studying degrees that are quite difficult, like STEM degrees are known for being quite challenging, and trying to motivate the students to continue to stick with their degree, to show them a light at the end of the tunnel. And I've literally received that feedback at the end of the sessions, saying that, you know, like, yeah, this, you know, it was definitely something that they needed to hear at that time. So that it was very gratifying knowing that this program has made an impact into the lives of the students. So yeah, so basically this is a program that we're hoping to keep running and next year as well. So we've had them all be webinars, and we've had them all be you know, all online, available to every university in every college in Ireland. But in the coming year, we actually want to have them be a hybrid, so both in person, but also maybe stream them live so that anyone from any of the universities can watch them online, but also the students in person can attend, and then they can get the pizza afterwards, which we always had the pizza. So we were very popular because students love pizza. Yeah, we're hoping to continue with that in the next year. Hopefully, you know, get even more attendees for that, and hopefully to continue making a difference in the lives of all the students. That's probably my favorite one.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like a really useful program. Like, not only are you providing resources like the panel discussions and resume reviews targeted towards college students, but creating networking opportunities that I think are especially helpful when you're just starting out in your career or wanting to change your career, to help kind of take some of those anxieties away that we all have when we're about to make a change. Definitely helps to see other people going through the same process. So I see, or we hear a lot of advice out there, kind of like, if you don't have any networking groups that you fit into, or there's not one in your area or one at your company, you should just start one. So how did you get the idea to start the University Tech Starter program, and what advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own networking group?
Yeah. Okay, so basically for this, I would say if you want to start something, first of all, you need to define what it is exactly that you're trying to achieve. What problem are you trying to solve? So I would try to create a problem statement that, or, you know, a mission statement, something to keep everyone together and to help the team understand what is actually, you know, what's the purpose of what you're doing. And some ideas of where you can get this, based on my own experience, is well, even literally look back, I looked back at what I did in university as well, and I would have loved to have had these kind of programs that I could have gone to and watched other women talk about what they do working in technology, and get to network with other women working in technology. And when I was in college, there weren't that many women in tech groups, not as many as there are today, and I think it would have been really helpful. So I looked at my own experience, but I also, when setting up the University Tech Starter, I also looked at some of the other volunteers and the members of CWIT as well. Specifically, we had some people who were interns in the companies that were part of CWIT. So they got involved in CWIT through their internship, and they got involved in the early careers pillar. And in that way, we were able to get their feedback of their experiences being in college at the time. So they were in college at the time, and they were maybe doing summer internships or internships for a few months. So we were able to get their direct experience and their direct thoughts and what they thought was needed. So this program actually came about as initially it was an idea from one of the other people who was an intern in one of the companies and also was a college student. So gathering feedback from others around you is also a really good idea. But then we were also able to, once we kind of knew a little bit about who it was that we were trying to target, we could also then gather feedback from our target audience, so from the students themselves. And there's a lot of ways that you can do this. My favorite is just a simple survey. You can just, quickly send out a survey for what it is that they want. Utilize your own network to get that out to people, and then you get a lot of really great feedback. And then you can, adjust your problem statement based on what is really, really needed. And then once you have that, once you've determined that problem statement, once you know who your audience is, I would say some other things that have definitely worked for me is that try not to go about it alone. Try to get support from others. Specifically, what I did was I tried to get a core V team of people, basically all a very small group of people, all working on the Tech Starter program with me. And then we were able to come up with a strategy together and, get it moving from the beginning. Also bearing in mind that in that case, it's almost a networking group in itself. So if you want to start a networking group and there's also already a small group of people there, you've already got a small networking group. So people are more likely to basically join your group. And then with all of this as well, like with that small team, make sure to start small and just have that clear aim at the beginning of what it is that you want to do. Don't aim for perfection at first. In fact, I'd say just think of the very first kind of program or thing you're doing as an MVP, a minimum viable product. So don't aim for perfection, and just get it going. And then I would also say, and this is exactly what I did. I would also say don't try really hard to surround yourself with positive people who will encourage you to do this thing. And try to avoid naysayers at the beginning of a project. I think it's really, really important, especially before you've actually, started or done anything. Try to basically just get people who are going to kind of, be on your side, who believe in this problem statement. And that's especially if you suffer from imposter syndrome as well. You don't want to hear all the reasons why your idea is not good when you haven't even started it yet. You haven't done anything yet. So try to surround yourself with positive people. And I'm not here saying, don't ever listen to criticism or anything like that. No, definitely try to be critical in what you're doing as well. But the very first thing before anything is actually started, it's very hard to be critical because you just don't know if it'll work or not. So start something first, and then and then be a bit more critical afterwards. Then you can listen to kind of more slightly negative feedback, not negative feedback, but more constructive feedback for how to improve and get better. And then alongside that, I also would say, again, completely based on my own experience, people aren't always going to understand exactly what you're trying to do if it's kind of new, if it's in any way something that hasn't been, if it's a kind of a different angle to something, they're not always going to understand. So that's why you should try to surround yourself, try to have a really clear problem statement of what it is that what problem it is that you're trying to solve, and then have that core team of people, that small core team of people who will help you with that as best as possible. Like the first time you do something, it's not going to be as understood. But once people see it being done and, you know, somehow successful, makes sense in a way, then other people will come to join you as well. And this definitely happened with the Tech Starter. So when we first started it in the first year, I think we had maybe 4 or 5 other people who were kind of very engaged with it. And then afterwards, we were getting so many people who wanted to volunteer part of it. Like we were getting like, I think it was like 20 something, 30 people who wanted to help out with running it in the next year. But it was hard to get those volunteers, those people helping out the first year. But once they see it, once people see what you've already done, it becomes much, much easier to kind of sell the product, sell why they should get involved. So yeah, definitely, you know, show people what can happen. So yeah, I guess these are some of the things that have worked for myself, even specifically from the University Tech Starter or other kind of programs that I've started. So yeah, I would say for this, you know, go for it. If you have an idea for something, something that you want to improve, something that you want to make better, go for it. Or else join things that already exist. Join societies like CWIT or other programs, and, you know, get really, really involved in them. And always think about, again, think about that problem statement, why you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I love that advice. I especially love the like, don't have naysayers around you, and like, you don't need to wait until everything's perfect to get it out there. I think that's one thing that holds a lot of people up, is they're waiting for things to be perfect before they can put themselves out there. So I'm going to open it up for Q&A from the audience in just a few minutes. I just have like one more question. So you've been working in tech and, you know, working with CWIT now for a few years, and I know that the diversity is a really big topic right now, especially in tech, you know, as it should be. Have you noticed a change in the number of women that you personally work with?
Yes, I would say yes. So, and I actually have I have one experience that I can kind of share exactly. So this is just my own personal experience. Basically on my last team when I was working in Azure Communications, so I basically, when I was working on sending out communication messages for these outages, the process is that there would be these calls that would occur, they would be full of people like myself, like the incident managers, like the engineering teams, all working together to try to solve this issue, to let customers know what's going on and so on. These were like global calls in that anyone from anywhere in the world could join these calls that were working on this incident, on this outage. So what I noticed is that initially, when I started back in 2017, there were very few women that would be on those calls. It was mostly all guys, and that slowly started to change. Throughout the years, I started to hear more female voices, and actually just before I left the team, I noticed a few weeks before I switched over into my current role in cybersecurity, I noticed that there was one of those calls that was entirely women, and we all commented on it as well, and we all said like, "Oh look, this is great," you know. Women are able to take a seat at the table and to you know, get involved in engineering and to get involved in working in technology. So in my opinion, in just my own personal experience, it is improving, but it still has it still has some way to go. And I do believe that organizations like CWIT, like all kinds of other ones that are focused around women in STEM, they do make a difference. They do help to move the they do help to make a small difference in making it more equal for everyone. So yeah, it's improving.
Hey, wow. What a monumental moment that you had there with the all-woman call. That's awesome. I hope that you'll see more all-woman calls. That would be amazing. So I'm just going to, I'm going to drop your LinkedIn in the chat for anyone that wants to connect with you. And let's see, we do have a couple questions here. Yeah. So the first question is, what are some soft skills for a role in cybersecurity?
Okay. Soft skills. Yeah. Okay. So from my own experience, I actually think probably everyone would agree with me on this. You need to always have a capacity to always be learning, learning more and more. Things change all of the time. In Defender for Cloud, for example, there are always new things that are coming out. Like we recently had, there's a big push now for getting multi-cloud to be part of Defender for Cloud. And that's, you know, that's just one aspect that we had to learn ourselves, but that our customers also had to learn. So yeah, definitely the capacity to always be learning, and to have that attitude of always wanting to know more. I would say that's definitely one thing. And alongside that as well, kind of related, is always being curious about what, you know, what is going on, what else is happening, like what needs to be done, how can things be improved. So having that curiosity is also really, really important. I think it goes quite alongside learning, because if you're curious, you're going to want to learn about what, you know, whatever it is that you need to learn about. And then some other kind of soft skills related to cybersecurity. I would say that you need to be a good communicator as well, because you know, you need to talk to a lot of different people in the organization. Either, you know, it depends on like kind of, you know, what exactly that you're working on. But for myself, for example, I need to work with a lot of customers to help them to understand about Defender for Cloud. So I need to make sure that I am clear in what I'm saying, and, you know, just able to communicate. So I think communication is another key one. I guess just other things, I guess, just being organized as well. That's a kind of a general one across tech probably, but being organized in your approach to doing things, being organized, say if you have meetings that you do, like things like follow up afterwards, and yeah, being someone that's dependable and trustworthy, and yeah, I think these are probably the main things I can think of right now on the spot.
Yeah. And then one thing, so I think the form that we shared, the Intro to Cloud Cybersecurity form, is not open to the public.
Okay.
So I will change that.
Okay. So I will update that. Yeah. Thank you. I created it for this call. So yeah.
Yes. So our next question is, what skills are required for someone who has cloud infrastructure skills to jump to cybersecurity or IT security role?
Okay. Cloud infrastructure jumping to cybersecurity. Okay. Okay. So I would say that in that case, then you've already got a background in what's needed. Again, going back to my example where I work in Defender for Cloud, there's a lot of Defender plans that are part of Defender for Cloud. So for example, we have Defender for SQL, and it's really helpful to have a background in SQL. Or we have Defender for servers, and it's really helpful to have, again, a knowledge of how virtual machines work and how, what's involved there. So you've already got the background kind of knowledge for that. Now you need to apply it towards security. In that sense, I would say probably try to get some certifications that are kind of focused in on cybersecurity specifically, because you already have the background. Now you just need to position yourself into cybersecurity. So I think there's a lot of certifications that you can do. There's, for example, there's the AZ 500 certification, which is the Azure security one. So yeah, it depends on what it is that you want to do. But then once you have that background knowledge and then the certifications as well, and that willingness to learn, I think you'll be quite well positioned. And actually, I'll also add as well, and this is, I don't know if this is possible, but this is like what I did, is that if you can find an angle that focuses on security in your current role somehow, that is, I think, probably one of the best ways as well. So and you have to get, I guess you have to get a little bit creative on what's needed in your role if it can somehow match up with cybersecurity. And then another thing that I would probably say with this is that if you do have an interest in cybersecurity, you can maybe talk to maybe people like your manager, if they're supportive, and tell them, you want to learn more about cybersecurity. Some opportunities may appear in future for that. And then when they hear of them, they'll think of you. They'll remember what you told them. So yeah, trying to gain that experience in your current role, if possible, would be amazing. It's not always possible. But then alongside that, also having the certifications, that is something that you can very directly control, learning for those certifications and going for them. So.
Thank you. So we have a question about CWIT here. Are there any educational requirements to join CWIT?
CWIT, yeah, Connecting Women in Technology. And educational requirements, no. And actually, this is something that we try very hard to encourage people. So basically, what we want to say as well, especially during the university tech starter, is that it doesn't have to be only people who have studied STEM who can work in technology. It can be people who have maybe people who only have a high school diploma, and then they got really involved in IT. And I've seen people do that. Like I've had some of my teammates in my current team, and even in the last team as well, went straight from high school to working, and that didn't hold them back because they learned so much on the job as well. Not to say that college degrees are not important, because they are, because they do give you kind of that background, but you are definitely able to succeed in technology, in cybersecurity, without having that like an official degree in computer science.
Okay, thank you. And do you know of any societies for older women?
Yeah. So in Connecting Women in Technology, so I talked a lot about early careers because that's the pillar that I'm part of. But we do also have a partnership that's coming up with this group called, or it's already kind of at the beginning stages, with this group called 30% Ireland, 30% Club. Now this is based in Ireland again, so apologies, everything is based in Ireland, but that is focused on trying to get board members and executive level people working in technology, but 30% Club, or not just technology, across the kind of the working, across lots of multinational corporations, but trying to get 30% of their most senior people to be women. So that's kind of the aim. That is people who are more senior, for people who are more senior. So that 30% club is another organization that I know of, and that our partnership with CWIT is also there. It is, of course, that it's focused on people who are already quite senior in their career overall. So that's something to call out, but it exists.
Great, thank you. This is a tough one. So do you have advice for how to make management actually take action on issues involving discrimination in the workplace? For example, they see that a team is having issues accepting females as equals, but don't take action to try and fix it.
Yeah. That is definitely a tough one. Yeah. So for this kind of thing, I would probably say if you can engage with HR, so human resources, they're probably like best placed to help with these kind of issues. It's hard if the management doesn't listen. I would say this isn't it's not changing the current structure, but if it's something that is affecting you, then, and you see that that company isn't doing anything about it, you can maybe also look at other places. Now, I know that's not changing what is already there. It's not making a change for the better in that organization, but there are a lot of companies who really care about equality. Microsoft is definitely one of them. So if you see that you're working somewhere for someone that doesn't want to show equality, care about diversity, maybe if you are in the position to make the change, maybe that's something that you can consider. Otherwise, if you really want to keep fighting in that organization, I think try to go about it with HR. It would be my recommendation.
Thank you. That's a great recommendation. Okay, so a couple more questions here. Is it feasible to get into this field as an early career with 3 years experience candidate, or do you recommend starting in a less technical PM role?
Yeah, I would say it is possible. There are roles, like specifically in my team, there were people hired as graduates. It is, of course, more of a ramp up to get into it, but it's possible. And I'm not sure if I called this out earlier, but nobody starts out knowing everything from the beginning. Everyone has to learn. So as long as you're willing to show that you want to learn about it, there are positions for that. However, if you are finding that you're not able to get them, then you can kind of work your way towards that. Build sort of an action plan to get to the role or career that you want to get to. It depends on where you're at and where you want to get to and what's out there when you're looking for that.
Okay, and then can you speak more about how an early career candidate can break into a PM role if they didn't have access to internships during college?
Yeah. So the internships that I did helped, but it's not the only way. You can definitely get in to being a program manager without doing all of the internships. It's another way is, like, I guess if you're in college, I'm not sure if you're still in university, is if you can showcase group projects as well and showcase your leadership in those projects. That's another way, without doing the formal internships. Or else, again, program management is very kind of all about organization and kind of doing what's necessary to meet the project goals. It's more specific in like Microsoft, for example. It's you can be a feature program manager working on features, or you can be more operational. It also depends on it also depends on that, but it's definitely possible to become a program manager without having done all of those internships. It's about how you position yourself in the interview as well. And I called this out in my answer earlier. It's about you reflecting on where you are and what you can bring to these roles as well. And then you'll be able to find your way to the program manager role.
Great. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. So I'll drop your LinkedIn in the chat one more time. So if people want to connect with you or have questions, they can reach out to you there. So thank you so much, Liana, for being our guest today and for the excellent presentation. And thank you for answering all the questions from our audience. So at the same time, I would like to remind the listeners that Liana will be doing 2 more webinars this month, more technical webinars on Defender for Cloud. So the best way to sign up for those webinars and to make sure you don't miss any future announcements is to visit our landing page at aka.ms/securitycommunity. And while there, you'll find easy ways to navigate and find the resources and learning content relevant to our security products and their communities. A good start would be browsing our bite-sized product videos, ninja trainings, recordings of past webinars, GitHub communities, and more. We'd love to hear your feedback on how we can improve these webinars. Please take a minute submitting your webinar feedback at aka.ms/security webinar feedback. Thank you and see you next time. Goodbye.